say every good speech is like a pencil. It has to have a point. They also say there are only two types of speakers in the world: nervous and liars. Which one are you? Hey there! Welcome to the Rockstar Orator. This program will help you assess your fears and overcome them. It will also motivate you to get started by identifying the different advantages of public speaking skills. If you are the one who interacts socially with friends, family, and others, you may be pleasantly surprised as how much of public speaking you already do and aren't even aware. But before we start to figure, let's begin by understanding what you will gain at the end of this program. Here are the major points. If you promise to truly follow the program and do the activities and assignments given in it, you should be able to do the following. Overcome fears associated with public speaking. Understand the advantages of public speaking. Recognize your strengths and challenges. Overcome your challenges. Find ways to prepare, practice, and present a speech. Identify your barriers to public speaking. Take actions to improve your thoughts and behaviors as a public speaker by enhancing your body language, voice modulation, and word usage. Learn the finer art of telling stories to help you prove a point or influence people. To achieve these objectives and make the session interactive, easy to understand, and adaptable, we have used different mediums. Videos, which will explain concepts and provide links to other interesting videos on the subject. PPTs, which will help explain concepts. Activities that will focus on not just understanding the concepts, but also using them in your daily life. Worksheets that will help you gauge your learning of the concepts discussed. Case studies that will give you real life examples and help you solve those problems using the tools and techniques mentioned. Assessments that will help you identify and build on your strengths and the areas of improvement. However, for the program to become successful and for you to begin the process of change, we have a few rules that you must follow. Without them, you will not be able to reap the benefits elaborated in the objectives. The rules are: do not skip a chapter. This is a structured module, and each chapter is connected to the next. Ensure that you go through each chapter in sequence. Do the activities, worksheets, and assignments. They're designed to help you understand the concepts better. You should complete them to your best ability for any change to begin. Do the home assignments. After each chapter, you will be given home assignments to practically use the concepts for solving problems and getting better at enabling the change you want. You must allot 10 to 30 minutes daily for your personal development. Take the quiz. There is a quiz at the end of each chapter for you to check your understanding of the subject. Please ensure you complete the quiz before moving to the next chapter. Use a notebook and a pen. There are some activities, assignments, case studies in each chapter where you will have to write. Take a notebook earmarked for Rockstar Orator so you can write down the key points and your home assignments from each chapter. Also remember to keep a pen ready before the chapter starts. Now that you understand the basics, it's time to start our first module, Prepare the Mind. Do you know that fear of death is not the first, but the second most common fear in the world? What do you think is the first? Let me tell you a secret. It's the fear of public speaking. Hey, don't freak out. You're not alone. 3 out of every 4 people suffer from speech anxiety. That includes me. But do you see me freaking out? Even professional speakers and teachers are nervous before giving a speech or a presentation. Here is an account of a professor who shares his experience of overcoming his fear of public speaking. This is what he has to say. The first time I got to know about public speaking was when I was asked to give one in my 8th grade annual function. I had no idea what it meant, but with the help of my father, I wrote a few lines, memorized them, and was ready to speak in front of the school. So I thought, as I climbed the steps to get on stage, I was suddenly gripped with a fear I had never felt before. My mouth was dry and I wanted to run. But I could see my teachers and students waiting to hear what I had to say. I stood in front of the mic and started speaking. But a few lines through my speech, I forgot the script and looked impassively at the audience. Then I ran away in sheer embarrassment. I promised myself I would never again put myself through this fear. And even though I had many opportunities to give speeches or join public speaking courses during my schooling, I never did, as the memory of the humiliation stopped me. However, life had something else in store for me. I ended up becoming a professor. This meant I had to stand in front of a class and teach. In fact, there were times when I spoke in conferences and meetings too. I realized that my fear of public speaking had vanished when I had an interesting encounter with a young man at a conference. We were sitting, and before the conference started, he leaned over and asked if I was nervous as he was. My response surprised me. I said, no, not since my first time on stage. I think my confidence comes from knowing 3 things. First, I'm prepared and I know what I'm going to say. Second, I've done this before. And third, I figured that speaking in front of an audience is not about me. It's about the speech and how the audience connects to it. So how did that change? Years later, when he became a professor, his fear virtually disappeared because he was telling himself, what I have to say is more important than my feelings. The fear of humiliation was no longer the most important thing on his mind because of his belief in his message. Have there been times when you are so convinced of what you believe that it doesn't matter and doesn't bother you that you're talking to a number of people? If you can relate to how the professor felt as a young boy and as a young man, take a pause and think. What has been your mental talk to yourself about public speaking? Is it focusing on the fear you have, Or is it focusing on the belief in what you want to say to others? The important thing to remember is that when you change what you tell yourself about public speaking, your feelings about public speaking will change. Do you know that the fear of public speaking is so common that it is also considered to be a social anxiety disorder? If the disorder is not addressed early in life, it can get worse with age. The fear of public speaking will then start influencing your lack of success. It will keep you from speaking up in class, even when you have ideas and viewpoints to share. It will keep you from networking and building new relationships, which will be beneficial to you and others. Social anxiety disorder is more than just shyness or occasional nerves. It mainly involves situations where you feel you are being evaluated, or when the situation in which you have to perform is unfamiliar to you. This is because you're worried about people thinking bad about you or not being competitive with others. Although you realize that your fears are not logical, you still cannot avoid it. You are too nervous. Here is a list of some common social anxiety triggers. Try and identify yours if you have any. Meeting new people, performing on stage, being the center of attention, making small talk, being teased or criticized, speaking up in class, talking to important or authority figures, being watched while doing something, using public restroom, being called on in class, going on a romantic date, sitting for an exam, making phone calls, eating or drinking in public, attending parties or other social gatherings. You may have identified a few or many, but no matter how painfully shy you may be or how bad the butterflies in your stomach are, you can learn to be comfortable in social situations and reclaim your life. Like they say, the trick is not to get rid of the butterflies in your stomach. It's to make them fly in formation. So let's begin by figuring out how randomly they are flying. Here is an activity to assess your self-confidence so you get an idea of what to improve. In this activity, you will have a view of what you think of yourself and not what others think of you. Mark it as 1 if it's really disagree, 2 if it's kind of agree, and 3 if it's really agree. Here is what you need to do. On a sheet of paper, write down 1 to 15 vertically. Again, statement 1, note the number you most agree with. Then move to statement 2 and so on. You then add the total of your markings and check your score. Here is a sample of how to mark your assessments. Now here's the assessment. You get 2 minutes to do this. However, you can pause the video if you need more time. your score is between 46 and 75, you're a confident person. If your score is between 15 and 45, you need to work on your confidence. In the next section, we will talk about how to deal with this anxiety so that you can be more confident during your speech. See you soon.